What's going on, everybody? This is Avi Penhallow, and I'm on my coffee break on a Friday. What's the date today? I don't even know the date today, but it's on the screen. I just wanted to check in with those of you who've been tuning in to my program on Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific, All Things Reconciled with Archbishop Avi Penhallow. Really appreciate all the people that have been tuning in. I just wanted to let those of you who tuned in last week know that, yeah, I'm aware of the audio issues that were going on last week when I had my special guest Amma on the program, and so apparently my responses were my mic was not very hot, and when Amma would talk, the mic was pretty hot. So what I'm going to do is edit that video and re-release it with the audio that's synced up, so it's not so hard to watch. So that was from last Sunday's program, All Things Reconciled. We won't have those issues this week, so please join us if you can. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be there every single week for All Things Reconciled. That particular program is geared towards unpacking the teachings of Archbishop Veron Ash, my good friend, mentor, and predecessor in the Mars Hulme Orthodox Church. So we've been going through just one of his messages. There's got to be more. One of his more popular messages on that's out there on YouTube. So we're actually going through the message in sequence chronologically, so you can actually watch that video on its own. I'll leave a link below so that you can go straight to that video. Otherwise, you can just join us and we watch it kind of in context as it goes. But what we've been unpacking is the way that Archbishop Veron Ash approached Scripture. And by this, I mean the Hebrew Scriptures, the Old Testament, the New Testament. And he did so through a very ancient hermeneutical lens, which hermeneutics is just the way that we interpret a text. And he used the Alexandrian and both the Alexandrian and the Antiochian method of biblical interpretation. If you don't know what those are, I'm excited to be able to introduce those to you. But they're basically two very early church methods of interpreting Scripture. One is focused more on the literal interpretation of Scripture, and the Alexandrian is more on allegorical or spiritual meaning of a text. Archbishop Ash blended both of those methods, and then of course the way he delivered them, homiletics, is the preaching. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my words. I need more coffee. And so he delivered those in biblical interpretive methods, both the allegorical and the literal meanings of the text, in his very unique style of blending Eastern Orthodoxy or ancient Eastern Christianity into the Pentecostal and charismatic vernacular. He was often preaching in churches that were not Eastern or Orthodox. Okay, so that's Sunday, every Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can get it where, if you're watching this, you're able to tune into the broadcast because we're streaming it on YouTube on the Archbishop Veron Ash Facebook page. We are streaming it on the Archbishop Avi Penhallow Facebook page, and then we're also streaming it on YouTube on Archbishop Avi Penhallow YouTube page for a time, because the next piece of news and update I wanted to bring to you today is that we are very quickly now starting to roll out the vision and the plan for the Proximity Portal. I've been talking about this on the program a little bit, but the Proximity Portal is a collective of a lot of voices, not just mine. Some are from my tradition in the Mars Hulme Orthodox Church, and some are not. But it's a collective of visionary voices and leaders from different fields, but in spirituality, in social justice and activism, creative arts. And so I'm inviting all of you to check out the new Facebook page, the Proximity Portal. I've been posting that a lot. And make sure that you don't go to my old page, which is the Proximity Portal podcast. That was something I was doing a couple of years ago with my good friend and priest Jason McNair. That I was going to rename that page, and then we just decided to start it all over because we're launching this whole network called the Proximity Portal Network. So check out that page. Please like the YouTube channel, the Proximity Portal, because soon I'll be streaming all of these things that I've been doing on All Things Reconciled, other videos that come from some of our other contributors. We've been doing them on our respective platforms, and you're welcome to stay on those platforms. But what we're doing is we're consolidating, for example, All Things Reconciled with Avi Penhallow is going to migrate over to the Proximity Portal network. So I'll probably keep streaming them in the old spots just because people are used to that. But what I'm encouraging you to do, if you haven't done so already, is go to the Proximity Portal Facebook page, like it, follow it, so that you're able to be updated with the live videos that are going to be coming out. And then likewise, go to the newly created YouTube channel. So right now I'm broadcasting on the Bishop Avi Penhallow YouTube channel. And we are going to migrate the broadcasts over to the Proximity Portal. That's where things are going for those of us in the community. You already know I've been talking about this, but we're going to be rolling out so much new stuff, going over the life, legacy, prophetic preaching of Archbishop Veron Ash. But that's not all. We have there are so many dynamic voices in our community, representing all different kinds of disciplines. For example, I'm sitting in my car right now and having a coffee. I've been working in education for it's hard to believe, but over 23 years now. And I'm currently in Southern California. I've worked in 5 different states in a variety of educational settings, including the university level, where I was working on my PhD a couple of years ago, and teaching at the University of Missouri. But now I am in Irvine, California, and I'm on my break here, and I'm just thinking of what are some things that we could now start rolling out under the Proximity Portal. And so we have dynamic voices, life coaches, Mashonda Lindsay. If you have never seen her material, it's incredible. She'll be here on the Proximity Portal. As I mentioned, Jason McNair, Nicholas O'Rourke, who is now a city councilman in the city of Philadelphia, but also a pastor of the United Church of Christ. And he's also ordained in the Mar Thoma Orthodox Church as well. We have, of course, Amma, with her beautiful work. She's doing so many things. Amma has her own podcast, and that will also be hosted on the Proximity Portal, and on her own platform. Amma was a guest on my program, as you know, last Sunday. So please spread the word about the Proximity Portal. These are going to be it's going to be really helpful for us to consolidate all of our efforts. And we have a conference coming up, which we're going to be telling you about later on. But we are having a conference in 2024, and everyone's welcome. You do not have to have been a part of the Mar Thoma Orthodox Church, but the Proximity Portal will be making its presence felt in that conference as well. I'll be updating that in the future. Today, I just thought I would hop on to let people know that on my program, All Things Reconciled, last Sunday, I'm aware that there were some audio discrepancies between myself and Amma, who I was had on the show, and we'll re-release that video with the audio corrected, but you can still watch it. And we're excited because this Sunday on All Things Reconciled, we are going to be stepping even further into Archbishop Veron Ash's message. There's got to be more, but we've laid the groundwork, and now we're going to dig into what are these 3 realms in coming to God: the 30-fold, the 60-fold, the 100-fold realm, the outer court, the inner court, the Holy of Holies. These realms of coming to God are not esoteric in the sense that they're available to all, but they may not be initially understood by all. And so it's a process of understanding. Anything you do in this world is going to take a process of understanding, whether you become a parent, whether you become a student, or a spirit. It's the same is true for those of us who are spiritual seekers. And so as we laid the groundwork for the Eastern Christian understanding of coming to God or salvation, liberation is the same word as salvation, and it means to be liberated. Most of us interpret it though as being liberated from, i.e., liberated, saved from hell. We've been explaining over the last few weeks that there's much more to it than that, and that the end goal is for us to become one, completely filled with the energies, the identity, the image and likeness of our Creator, which is a very different projective path than to just be escaping a hell, for example. So we touched the surface on all that, and now we're going to talk about, we have the 30, the 60, and the 100-fold. Now we're going to talk about what does that actually look like in the real world. What is the 30-fold or outer court realm of spirituality? What is the 60-fold inner court realm of spirituality? And then what does it look like to be in the Holy of Holies? And so you'll want to stick around for that. And then we're going to be delivering all kinds of extra content to supplement all of that. So please, if you have not seen Father Yakub McNair, Jason McNair, if you've not watched his short videos, they go right along with my program, All Things Reconciled, on Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific. And so he releases his once a week, and they usually come out shortly before my program. So it's actually a really nice way to access his perspective, and it just brings everything full circle by the time we get to All Things Reconciled. So encouraging you to keep sharing the word, please, about the proximity portal, because right now it's in its initial stages. So please like the proximity portal Facebook page. Please go over to YouTube and like both Bishop Avi Penhalo. Please like and subscribe to that page, but also go over to the proximity portal page and subscribe to it as well. That will help us out quite a bit. I'm not going to stream on the Proximity Portal channel just yet. I'm going to give it another week or so before we officially launch. So this is for those of you who are in early on all of this. I'm excited to be able to really explore with you more of what this means. But basically, it's a way for us to connect this community together. And we're not trying to build an organization or a church. We're not trying to convert anybody. We are just trying to bring together like-minded folks, people who understand that there's got to be more to the spiritual path than what's been presented to us in our culture and our denomination. So we're not asking you to leave anything except for a mindset, and then you can make a decision whether or not your newly acquired mindset fits within whatever you're involved in the moment. So I'm just taking a look at some comments here and just saying hello to everybody. This was not planned. I just decided to jump on while I'm moving from one location to the other in my job, and I have a cup of coffee and about to go in and do some writing on the book. There's Got to Be More, unveiling the life, legacy, and prophetic preaching of Archbishop Ash. I'm trying so hard, you guys, to get this published. I wanted to get it published by the end of February, but it really depends on how long the editing process is going to be. But if you've been tuning in to my rough little show, All Things Reconciled on Sundays, you kind of have a taste of what this book is going to be about. I'll let you in on a little secret that I'm a much better writer than I am a speaker. I'm not a preacher. I'm a teacher. So that being said, so there's some big shoes to fill with Archbishop Veron Ash, and one thing I think I'll bring this up for those of you who are on the inside. I'm not trying to be Archbishop Veron Ash, nor could I ever be. He is my friend. He was my spiritual mentor, and he was my bishop, and he is will always be unique in his own special way, as many of you have come to know his work. But I'm not trying to be him. I'm trying to fulfill what it is that he gave to me to share with the world, especially with this idea. Listen, this is not my idea. The proximity portal was actually Archbishop Veron Ash's idea, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But he and I spent a lot of time in the last days of his life, and we spent hours and hours talking about what would it look like if we could bring together a bunch of different platforms of like-minded people in consciousness, spirituality, social activism, and not just virtually, but really getting in each other's lives. And that means bearing each other's burdens, as the scriptures would say. Well, what does that really mean? And as a society, what would it look like if we really bared one another's burdens? Also, conversely, what would it look like if our society celebrated each other's victories instead of envying one another, one organization trying to outdo another organization, that sort of thing? The proximity portal is actually about bringing a collective community of communities together in a way that is not competitive, but it's mutually beneficiary. So, and that plays out on all different kinds of levels. But the idea was not mine. It was something that I resonated with in my many conversations with Archbishop Veron Ash before he left us 10 years ago. And it's the 10-year anniversary of his passing. And I want to bring up one last point, and then I'm going to go get some writing done. I noticed on the program on Sunday that a couple angry faces popped up. And of course, when you're doing content like this, there are going to be people who don't agree with you. And that's fine. I'm used to having some sort of controversy attached to any of the content that I would deliver when we talk about spirituality. So that's not a problem. However, this person took it upon themselves to start flooding the comments, not just in the video, but they started flooding the comments on previous posts that I've done on a couple different platforms, basically cutting and pasting the same nonsense. So the nonsense was, you may have seen it, his name's Calvin, he goes by a prophet, he's in New Mexico, and I didn't mean to put him out there and shout out his name, but I'll explain why I'm mentioning his name, because if you have an issue with anything that has been said on any of our platforms or programs, we don't have a problem with that. We don't have a problem with you voicing your differences of opinion. But when you come into a space, and this is common on social media, I've done it too, so I'm not even going to try to say that I haven't. But when you come into a space and you just want to blow it up with an insult, that it sets the precedent for not being able to have any sort of rich discussion. So this person came on and basically said, you are taking advantage of the name of Veron Ash for your own personal purposes. And the truth is, I can completely understand why someone who doesn't know me, and obviously doesn't really know Veron Ash as well, didn't know him, would say that, though. I can see why they would make such a comment. And I'm only saying this because I know that it's not going to be the last person to make such a statement. And so basically he was saying, you're trying to prop up your platform with the name of somebody who you could never be. And I just told you a second ago, I am not trying to be Veron Ash. I am the successor of his episcopal office, which most people in his audiences didn't even understand what that entailed in our Mar-Thoma Orthodox Church. So we'll set that one aside for a second. But as for the claim that that's what we're doing, first of all, it assumes a motive without any substantiated evidence. I'm not going to give this guy too much of my time. I actually approached this person. By the way, I've got a tip for those of you who, if you ever have trolls come on your platform, whatever it is, or your page, and you're confident in what you're saying, I've got a tip for you right after this. So remind me if I forget. I private messaged this person directly, and I said, look, number one, you're wrong, but I don't expect you to know why you're wrong. So let's talk about it. First, I was not someone that Veron Ash came to my church and preached at once a year or something like that, and I might have, had a cup of coffee with him or something like that. No, Veron Ash was our bishop in our church, in the ministry that we, those of us in the Mar Thoma Orthodox Church, we served at alongside with him for many years. So to make the claim that we're just trying to make a name for myself personally is laughable on a few different levels. The first one would be our friend Veron Ash passed away 10 years ago. If I had any ambitions to set up some sort of empire under his name, don't you think that I would have done this much sooner? And the truth is, I had to do a lot of wilderness and soul searching when Archbishop Veron Ash passed away. So I find it, first of all, when somebody makes a ignorant comment like that, I find it initially, as a human being, I find it, what would you call it, offensive. But only for a few seconds, and then I realized this person has no idea what they're talking about, let alone if they had an ounce of prophetic in them for real, they would understand the foolishness of coming on and making such a statement in the first place. So there's that. And then I invited this person on. I said, look, we can talk about our disagreements about this issue publicly, live. Since you want to go on and make all these insulting comments on several pages, how about you just come on? I'll give you 15 minutes to say whatever you want to say live, in person, face to face, in front of a public audience. And then we'll have a discussion and see who knows what. And this goes to the tip I was going to give those of you who ever have somebody like that who comes on your program or profile or whatever, and they want to just hurl incense of ignorance. Is that even a word? Wait, insults and ignorance. Invite them. Don't do this, right? Don't be keyboard ninjas with the person, right? Invite them on face to face. So let's talk about this face to face in front of people, and we'll find out. Gone. This person blocked me, and then proceeded to go on to a page of one of our colleagues to do the same thing. And so if you guys know who Calvin is, make sure you tell that prophet that the invitation still stands if he wants to come and talk to me. Talk to us. Because if you're going to make a statement in the community, you have to be able to back up that statement in the community, right? So generally, I don't like to talk about things that I don't know about. And that's a safe practice. So Calvin, you're still welcome. You're still welcome in our space, buddy. On that note, that's a good practice. Invite them on. And I've actually experimented with this. Anytime I've gotten to the point where you know that somebody has no idea what they're talking about, but they're going to persist, right? You can block them, but I think it's more fun to just invite them on. Hey, I'll send you a link right now. Let's talk about it, right? And I've yet to have a person, I've done this probably about 20, 30 times. I have yet to have anyone take me up on it, right? Because all they do want to do is this, all right? So I came on here just to give an update for where things are going. I'll mention more of this on the show on Sunday night, 5 p.m. Pacific. All Things Reconciled will still be in the same spot. So wherever you're watching from right now, you can join us same spot. But I do want to mention that the proximity portal is growing. It's taking shape. And eventually all of these videos and all the videos of all of our contributors are going to be streaming straight through the Proximity Portal YouTube channel, Proximity Portal Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok. They're going to be coming from one spot, just so you don't have to go to 100 different places to watch it. And if you're interested in doing some content of your own on the Proximity Portal, just reach out to me, bishopavi@gmail.com. I'm happy to start that conversation with you. One thing that I'm super happy about is there's so many of you that have sent me messages saying that you're vibing with the stuff that's coming out, and I'm glad, because I'm definitely vibing with, when I go onto your profiles and pages, I am just so happy and to see that, you know, consciousness is not limited to the to our little corner of the world, and we're just contributors to a larger community. So the Proximity Portal, again, is a collective of collectives. We're a community of communities, and I want to see this network grow. I want to promote those who have like-minded ideals, spiritual visions, visionary that ideas, social ideas, all of these things, creative ideas too. And so I just wanted to say thank you for those of you who have been tuning in and connecting with us. It feels good. It feels really good to be able to meet people. And let's admit it, you know, a lot of times we're scattered. When you have ideas that fit, that don't fit in the norms of our institutions, you're going to have to find your tribes, right? And so I want to, though, take this a step further and bring us together so that, you know, there's unity, and so that there is also power in numbers. When organizations are not competing with one another, they can come together for common purposes, because we're not going to agree on everything. That's the whole problem, is that in our political world, if you do not check off the box on every single issue, then you can't be a part. You can't be a part of the discussion. And that is really a formula for failure for those of us who hold to expanded consciousness ideas, whether it be social, spiritual, personal. There is strength in numbers, and the unity does not have to be some sort of institutional agreement. And that's what we want to demonstrate with the Proximity Portal. We've got all kinds of just so much content that we're ready to like start unleashing, that cuts through a lot of the noise, because most of content creation is a bunch of noise to gain followers, to gain notoriety. I mean, even the notion of influencer is suspect, right? Like influencer, you know, first of all, you're acknowledging, this is just my thought, and you could disagree with it because you're part of this community, but influencer, if you really think about that, you know, obviously I'm trying to influence those of us who are like-minded to come together on things. But the power of suggestion that's even behind influencer is a little scary, because we live in a society that is very conformist, even in their supposed individualistic expressions. It's conformist. Even the idea of like trying to be different is kind of conformist in our society. I'll give you one last example, and then I got to jump off. I'm an old man now, and I've lived a lot of different lives. I've worn a lot of different hats. So I'm wearing my educator hat right now as I'm leaving my work site to go do some paperwork. I wear literally my bishop hat. And then in the past, I've went through a lot of different phases, you know. So I was part of I played in punk bands, you know, and that was an identity that I had taken off. And I just want to go to the punk thing for a second. You know, the whole punk music movement was really about the negation of societal norms, a rejection of them, right? And basically turning reality on its head and saying, we refuse and we resist that this is the way that things have to be, this pretty little program that the society has put together. That's what punk is really about. It's about negation. And I was involved in the punk scene for many, many years. In fact, the very first organization that I created under when I had become Eastern Orthodox was called Punks and Monks. And it was sort of an artistic art punk sort of goth collective, you know, of people who didn't seem to fit into, you know, society exact. So that was the ministry back then, Punks and Monks. It was all about that. After several years, I became to a realization that negation has its place. But if all you do is negate everything and never affirm anything, it creates an imbalance, just as only affirming the conformist institutional norms creates an imbalance, right? First of all, it creates an imbalance in our spirits, because our spirits know all knowledge, and all of the expanded consciousness is available because the spirit that's in us, it comes from the divine itself. And so we have access to everything. We have an understanding of a very limited amount of that everything. And so negation is actually one of the paths towards enlightenment. But it doesn't throw out. So we call that the apophatic approach. That's the Greek term for the way of, or in Latin, it's via negativa. So that's by negation. And then you have the cataphatic, which is what you can affirm. And so the spiritual process and the consciousness process actually involves both affirming and negating. And both bring our nous, our soul, towards an understanding of what our spirit knows about everything. I hope that made sense. So there's a time for negating, but if all you do is negate, then you'll never be able to have anything tangible and meaningful for your life, you know, to progress spiritually, socially, psychologically, professionally, developmentally. Hope that made sense. That's some of the stuff that we're going to be going over on the Proximity Portal Network, which I invite all of you now to go like, subscribe on YouTube, and also like it on like the Facebook page. We need that to get the algorithms going, right? Proximity Portal Network on Facebook, Proximity Portal Network on YouTube, and like and subscribe to that, okay? We're going to keep this going. Love you guys. I will see you on Sunday on All Things Considered at 5 p.m. Grace and peace.